Have you ever noticed how from the very beginning of your life, you were taught that nothing comes easy, that everything valuable requires sweat, endless effort, and sacrifice? The school system rewarded constant activity. Your family praised long hours. Society admired struggle as a sign of worth. And so, without even questioning it, you learned to measure progress by exhaustion. This conditioning didn't stop at work or relationships. It followed you into the spiritual and personal development space. People are told that if they want to manifest their dreams, they have to push even harder. Visualize longer, repeat affirmations 100 times a day, beg for signs from the universe, and never stop working on their vibration. It is as though the very same belief, life must be hard, was smuggled into manifestation teachings. But here's the paradox that almost no one pauses to see. If manifestation is truly quantum, if it really arises from the same laws that govern the universe at its deepest level, why would it demand struggle? Why would a universe rooted in coherence, harmony, and elegant simplicity suddenly require you to exhaust yourself to be worthy of its gifts? The truth is almost too simple for the rational mind to accept. Manifestation at its core is not complicated at all. It is so direct, so effortless, that the very conditioning which shaped you rejects it. That small voice in your head whispers, if it's simple, it can't be real. If it doesn't hurt, it must not be valuable. And that whisper alone has blocked more quantum shifts than any external barrier. So let's start peeling back this illusion. Imagine you are holding a radio. You don't need to rebuild the station, beg the music to play, or repeat a command until the sound finally comes through. All you do is turn the dial until you meet the right frequency, and instantly the music is there. The broadcast was never waiting on your struggle. It was already streaming day and night, independent of your effort. This is exactly how the quantum field operates. Every possible reality is already broadcasting. Every timeline exists now. You do not build them brick by brick. You do not chase them down like prey. You simply learn to tune. Yet because you were trained to believe results require strain, you spin the dial endlessly, never resting long enough to hear the song in full. Modern science has already confirmed this principle. The famous double-slit experiment revealed that reality does not collapse into a fixed outcome until it is observed. That means potential is everywhere, always. Manifestation, then, is not the drama of forcing reality into form. It is the art of alignment, bringing your thoughts, feelings, and body into coherence, so reality has no choice but to reveal the outcome you are already embodying. But here's the trap most of us fall into. We affirm with doubt still clinging in our chest. We visualize but grow impatient when the outer world doesn't move fast enough. We take action, but from fear rather than faith. And all of that noise sends mixed signals into the field. The universe isn't confused. It simply mirrors back the strongest signal you're broadcasting. Confusion, doubt, lack. The problem has never been that manifestation doesn't work. The problem is that most of us make it more complicated than it truly is. I want to tell you a story that might sound familiar. A woman once confided that she had been trying to manifest a new job for over 2 years. She built vision boards, repeated affirmations, filled journals with her ideal work life. She visualized every morning and night, layering practice on top of practice. And still, nothing changed. Why? Because beneath every action she carried the vibration of, "I don't have it yet." The harder she tried, the more she reinforced the absence. Then one morning, Without fanfare, she decided to stop pushing. She got dressed as though it was her first day at the new job. She carried herself through the day with the certainty of someone already living that reality. And within 2 weeks, an unexpected opportunity appeared, precisely aligned to what she had been trying to force for years. What changed wasn't the external world. What changed was her vibration. She stopped broadcasting lack and tuned directly into the frequency of fulfillment. This is the secret most teachers overlook, perhaps because it feels too simple to sell, too easy for the mind to accept. But the field does not respond to effort. It responds to coherence. Coherence means your thoughts, your emotions, and your body are aligned in one direction without contradiction. When you say, "I am abundant," but still feel anxiety in your chest, the signal is fragmented. When you visualize wealth but check your bank account in dread, the frequency is incoherent. But when you embody simplicity, when you say it, feel it, and live it as though it is already true, the field locks in your reality with mathematical precision. And so the real question is not whether manifestation works, but whether you are willing to release the drama of struggle and step into the elegance of alignment. Simplicity is not weakness, it is strength. It is the place where you finally stop scattering your energy and begin to live as though the future you desire is already breathing through you. This first step might feel radical, but it is the foundation. The more you complicate manifestation, the more you delay it. The more you simplify, the faster reality bends to meet you. In the next part, we will dive into why tuning is the only real key, and how the quantum field responds instantly when you stop chasing and start embodying. Before we continue, let me pause for a moment. If this message has already sparked something inside you, if you felt that inner recognition, like a forgotten truth resurfacing, then I invite you to support this journey. Take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support not only helps me share these teachings more widely, but also keeps this frequency alive for our community. And trust me, you'll want to stay connected, because what comes next will change the way you see manifestation forever. Think again about that radio in your hand. It doesn't matter how many times you beg the station to play your favorite song. It doesn't matter if you pace the room, speak louder, or plead with the universe. The music is not waiting for your strain. It is already playing. The only variable is whether you are tuned to the right frequency long enough to hear it. This is the way the quantum field operates. Infinite realities are streaming right now. They do not wait for you to build them. They do not require you to chase them like something far outside of you. They exist simultaneously, like countless radio stations all broadcasting at once. Your task is not to force the broadcast into being, but to tune yourself to the frequency of the reality you wish to live in. And here is where the conditioning of the mind becomes the greatest obstacle. You were taught that results come through struggle, that the harder you try, the more you deserve. So you keep spinning the dial. You keep shifting your focus, doubting yourself, second-guessing, and never resting long enough to let the signal stabilize. And so, like static between stations, you live in the noise. Science has already shown us this truth. In the double-slit experiment, particles exist in multiple possibilities until observed. Only the act of focused observation collapses the wave into one definite outcome. This is not mystical metaphor. It is physics. Potentiality is everywhere, all the time. Manifestation, therefore, is not about hammering reality into form. It is about aligning your inner state so that the field collapses effortlessly in your favor. But alignment cannot happen while you are spinning the dial in panic. Alignment requires stillness, coherence, and a willingness to trust the invisible. Think of someone learning to play an instrument. The notes don't become music until the strings are tuned. Noise becomes harmony only when vibration finds resonance. The same is true of your life. You might wonder, how do I know if I'm tuned in? The answer is simpler than you think. When you are aligned, there is a sense of peace underneath the action. Even when nothing external has changed yet, something inside of you feels settled. You may still be taking steps, but you are not driven by fear. You are moved by clarity. And clarity always feels quieter, steadier, lighter than the noise of forcing. Let me offer you something practical here. Pause for just a moment, even as you're listening. Sit back and close your eyes if you can. Take a slow breath in through your nose. Let your chest and belly rise together. Hold it gently, and then exhale slowly through your mouth. As you breathe, imagine that you are the dial of the radio. Each breath is a small turn, moving you closer to the frequency that already holds your desired reality. Notice where your body wants to tense. Let that part soften as though you are opening a channel. After 3 or 4 breaths like this, sense the difference. Not in your outer world, but in the way your inner world suddenly feels more receptive, more tuned, more available. This is alignment in its simplest form. The rational mind often resists this exercise. It says, it can't be this easy. Where's the proof? Where's the evidence? And yet, you've already had glimpses. Remember a time when something just fell into place. A phone call came at the right moment. A chance meeting turned into an opportunity. A decision you almost didn't make opened an unexpected door. Those weren't coincidences. Those were moments where, without even realizing it, you rested long enough in the right frequency for the song to play through you. The irony is that tuning requires less energy than forcing. Forcing drains you because it fights against the very nature of the field. Tuning nourishes you because it flows with the field. Just as a river does not argue its way through stone, but simply finds the path of least resistance, so too does energy move when you stop trying to command it and instead allow yourself to flow with it. Here's what makes this both liberating and terrifying. Simplicity strips the ego of control. The ego loves effort. It thrives on drama. It wants to believe that if it doesn't do enough, nothing will happen. But the universe doesn't need your noise. It only mirrors your signal. And the cleaner your signal, the faster the reflection arrives. So the next time you catch yourself spinning the dial, jumping from technique to technique, questioning if you've done enough, remember the radio. Remember that the broadcast is already there. Your only task is to tune and stay tuned. Not for 5 seconds, not for a fleeting glimpse, but long enough for the melody of your desired reality to play all the way through. And this is where most people falter. They taste alignment for a moment, and then abandon it at the first sign of doubt. They leave the station just as the song begins. But if you are willing to hold the frequency, to breathe through the discomfort, to sit in the quiet even when your mind demands noise, you will discover that reality begins to move with you instead of against you. This is not passivity. It is participation at the deepest level. It is meeting the field halfway, not with force, but with coherence. It is saying, I am here, I am tuned, and I am willing to stay. In the next part, we will look at why so many people sabotage this tuning process without realizing it. We'll explore the subtle ways mixed signals keep the field reflecting lack instead of fulfillment, and how a single shift in vibration can change everything. So why If tuning is so simple, do so many of us keep missing the signal? The answer is not that the field is withholding anything from you. The answer is incoherence. Most people send out signals that are fragmented, scattered, and contradictory. The universe doesn't punish you for this. It simply mirrors back the dominant vibration you're carrying. Think about your own practices for a moment. You affirm, "I am abundant," but you whisper it with a tight chest and a bank account open on the screen in front of you. You visualize success, but let impatience chew at the edges of your thoughts. You take action, but it is fueled by fear of failure rather than certainty of outcome. Every one of those actions is a broadcast, and together, they send out a confused message. Part yes, part no, part maybe. The field is never confused. It simply reflects the frequency you hold most consistently. This is the trap of incoherence. On the surface, you look committed, practicing daily, repeating words, building vision boards. But underneath, every gesture is tinged with the vibration of, "I don't have it yet." And that vibration speaks louder than anything else. The truth is that the quantum responds to what you are being, not what you are saying. I remember a woman who told me she had been trying to manifest a new job for over 2 years. She did everything the books and workshops told her to do. Vision boards filled her walls. Affirmations lined her journals. She visualized every morning, every night, and carried her intentions like a heavy burden everywhere she went. And yet, nothing changed. Every week felt like another reminder of absence. Why? Because every one of those actions carried the hidden signature of lack. Every affirmation was loaded with the belief that she didn't yet have it. Every visualization reinforced the gap between where she stood and where she longed to be. The harder she worked, the deeper she dug into the vibration of not yet. And then something small but profound shifted. One morning she decided, almost out of exhaustion, to stop trying. She got out of bed, dressed herself as if it was her first day at the new job, and walked through the day with the certainty of someone already living that reality. She didn't say another affirmation. She didn't paste another picture to her vision board. She simply embodied the feeling. 2 weeks later, an unexpected opportunity arrived, perfectly aligned to the reality she had been chasing for years. What changed was not the external world, it was her broadcast. She stopped radiating absence and started transmitting fulfillment. And the field, neutral and precise, mirrored it back with uncanny speed. This is the heart of coherence. It is not about piling on practices. It is about stripping away contradiction. When your mind says one thing, but your emotions scream another, and your body moves from fear, you fragment your power. You are like a tuning fork struck at different angles, vibrating in competing tones. No matter how hard you strike it, the sound never becomes pure. But when the whole instrument resonates as one, the tone is clear, strong, undeniable. Ask yourself, where in your life are you practicing incoherence? Where do your words declare faith, but your actions embody doubt? Where do you repeat affirmations while secretly rehearsing failure in your imagination? These are not faults to judge yourself for. They are invitations to recognize how deeply conditioning runs and how powerful your broadcast becomes when you stop scattering it. Let me make this personal for a moment. Take one of your current desires, something you have been carrying for months or years. Feel into the way you think about it. Notice the language you use when you speak about it, even to yourself. Then notice how your body reacts. Do your shoulders tighten? Does your breath shorten? Does a subtle anxiety rise in your chest? This is incoherence in action. Your mind says yes, but your body whispers no. Now imagine, just for today, you lived as though it was already complete. You wake up and dress yourself for the reality you've been calling in. You move through the day with the posture, tone, and quiet confidence of someone who already has it. You don't over-explain, you don't overreach, you simply embody it. That shift, small as it seems, changes the entire frequency of your field. This is not fantasy. It is the physics of observation. The double-slit experiment showed us that until an outcome is observed with coherence, reality remains in probability. Your fragmented broadcast keeps the wave flickering. But when your whole being broadcasts one clear yes, mind, heart, and body aligned, the wave collapses instantly in your favor. So the problem has never been that manifestation doesn't work. The problem is that most of us have been taught to overdo instead of embody. We affirm but carry doubt. We visualize but check for evidence too soon. We act but from fear rather than flow. And the field, faithful and neutral, gives us exactly what we are. The path forward is not about adding more practices. It is about releasing the vibration of lack hidden inside your practices. It is about shifting from proving into being, from trying into embodying. The woman who got her new job didn't finally convince the universe. She finally convinced herself. She chose coherence. In the next part, we will explore why simplicity is not laziness, and how aligned action becomes the most intelligent form of movement you can take. You'll see why the field responds not to the noise of effort, but to the clarity of resonance, and how once you grasp this, manifestation begins to feel less like work and more like breathing. One of the greatest misunderstandings people carry about manifestation is the belief that if it is simple, it must mean doing nothing. The conditioned mind translates ease as laziness, stillness as passivity, and alignment as avoidance. But simplicity is not the absence of action. Simplicity is the refinement of action. It is the art of doing only what matters, of moving with precision, not with frantic effort. You don't see rivers straining to carve their valleys. You don't see electricity wrestling with itself before it lights a room. You don't see light pausing to negotiate before it travels across space. Energy follows the path of least resistance. It flows where there is openness, coherence, resonance, and the same is true for you. Your desires are already frequencies encoded into the field. The less resistance you carry, the simpler your vibration becomes. The simpler your vibration, the faster the field aligns to mirror it. This is why overthinking, overplanning, and overcontrolling always backfire. They are not signs of intelligence. They are signs of noise. You say you want love, but then you micromanage every detail of how it should arrive. The person must look this way, act this way, come at this exact time. You say you want abundance, but then you drown yourself in doubt. Maybe I'm not ready. Maybe it's too late. Maybe I'll lose it if I get it. These are not neutral thoughts. They are frequencies, and they fracture your coherence until your signal collapses into chaos. In quantum terms, this is decoherence. When particles are out of sync, their waveforms cancel one another out. The result is fragmentation, wasted potential, noise. But when particles vibrate in coherence, they amplify each other into a single unified force. That is what alignment feels like in your life. Not doing nothing, but doing only what flows. Not absence of movement, but precision of movement. Neville Goddard said it best: "You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are." This is the essence of simplicity. When you already embody the person who has the thing you desire, you no longer chase it. You magnetize it without strain. Laziness waits passively, hoping something will change. Alignment lives the frequency now, making change inevitable. And here is the paradox. When you are truly aligned, you often end up doing less. Not because you are avoiding effort, but because the unnecessary effort falls away. You stop wasting energy doubting yourself, rehearsing worst-case scenarios, or micromanaging outcomes. You stop fighting the river and begin floating with it. The journey becomes lighter, but not because you quit. It becomes lighter because you stopped carrying what was never yours to hold. Let me share another story. A man I once spoke with had been struggling with his health for years. He tried every diet, every supplement, every program. He measured his food to the gram, researched obsessively late into the night, and kept changing his approach whenever results didn't show fast enough. His entire life became an endless loop of effort. And still, he grew weaker. The turning point came not through another diet, but through surrender. One morning, he admitted to himself that he had been fighting his body rather than listening to it. So instead of controlling harder, he began aligning. He simplified his approach, chose foods that made him feel alive, committed to daily movement that gave him joy, and stopped punishing himself for imperfection. Within months, his energy returned, his body stabilized, and what years of struggle couldn't create, alignment restored. He wasn't lazy, he was aligned. His results didn't come from doing more, but from releasing resistance and letting coherence guide his choices. His body, like the quantum field, was waiting all along for a signal of clarity. This is why coherence looks like magic to people still trapped in struggle. They watch someone who seems to do less, but accomplish more, and they call it luck. But what they don't see is the invisible alignment that amplifies every step that person takes. Alignment multiplies. Struggle divides. Dr. Joe Dispenza's research makes this visible. When the brain and heart enter coherence, the body generates a measurable electromagnetic field that extends up to 9 feet around you. In that state, healing accelerates, synchronicities multiply, and opportunities converge with breathtaking speed. This is not poetry, it is physics. Coherence strips away contradiction, and the universe can finally respond without interference. So let's be clear. Simplicity is not about avoiding responsibility or sitting on a couch waiting for miracles to arrive. Simplicity is about planting the seed and then trusting the intelligence of life to grow it. Laziness is refusing to plant at all. Effort without alignment is digging up the soil every day to check if it's working. But true simplicity is planting once, watering with faith, and letting the harvest arrive in its season. The more you complicate, the more you delay. The more you simplify, the faster reality responds. Simplicity is not laziness. It is mastery. It is the art of aligning so precisely with your chosen frequency that reality bends to meet you without struggle. The field does not care how much you sweat. It only cares how clear your signal is. In the next part, we'll take this further. We'll look at how coherence itself is not just a spiritual idea, but a scientific principle, and how the bridge between physics and inner experience reveals why simplicity always carries power. Once you see coherence as both measurable and mystical, you'll understand why alignment is the true language of creation. By now, you've seen how simplicity is not weakness, but strength, not laziness, but mastery. The next step is understanding why coherence is the single thread that ties science and spirituality together. Why it is the hidden law behind effortless manifestation. In quantum physics, coherence describes the way particles or waves synchronize, moving together as one unified system. When waves align, they don't merely add up, they multiply. Their energy amplifies exponentially. This is why light in perfect coherence becomes a laser, capable of cutting through steel, while the same light scattered incoherently is little more than a soft glow. Coherence turns potential into precision. Now imagine your own life as a field of light. When your thoughts race in one direction, your emotions pull another, and your body behaves from old habits, your signal is scattered. You glow faintly, but you do not cut through. The universe can feel you, but it cannot lock onto your frequency. But when your mind, heart, and body are aligned, when they vibrate together like laser light, your reality shifts with surgical accuracy. The field does not hesitate. It collapses instantly in your favor. This is not abstract metaphor. It is measurable biology. The HeartMath Institute has shown that the human heart produces the strongest electromagnetic field in the body, radiating several feet outward. And when the heart and brain synchronize, their rhythms lock into coherence. The body becomes more efficient. The immune system strengthens. The electromagnetic signal radiating outward grows stable and clear. You are literally broadcasting a coherent field into space. Dr. Joe Dispenza has taken this further in his workshops, where participants who reach heart-brain coherence often show brain waves shifting into gamma frequencies, states associated with heightened awareness, deep learning, and rapid healing. Their bodies change, their biology reorganizes, and their lives begin to reorganize around them. Synchronicities appear, outcomes shift, reality bends, not because they pushed harder, but because they tuned more deeply. And here's where science and spirit meet. Mystics have always known what physics is now confirming. Neville Goddard spoke of feeling it real. He taught that thought alone was not enough. It must be saturated with emotion and embodied in daily life until the entire being resonated with the desired end. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that words carry vibration and that alignment between thought, word, and deed collapses outcomes into form. They did not have the language of gamma waves or electromagnetic fields, but they described coherence in the only language they knew: spirit, feeling, embodiment. When you feel rich, think rich, and carry yourself as rich, the field organizes itself to reflect richness. When you think love, feel love, and act as love, the field bends reality to bring love into your experience. The principle is the same whether you explain it as physics or as prayer. Coherence is the bridge. Let's make this less theoretical. Think about a time when your whole being said yes. Maybe you were offered an opportunity, and every cell in your body lit up. You didn't need to debate it. You didn't need to convince yourself. You just knew. That inner alignment carried you forward with ease, and doors opened as if reality was conspiring on your behalf. That was coherence. You have lived it before, and you can live it again. The opposite is also familiar. Think of the times you forced something that wasn't aligned. You pushed for a relationship your heart resisted. You pursued a job your gut rejected. You tried to manifest while carrying the quiet certainty that it wouldn't work. The result was always the same: exhaustion, fragmentation, disappointment. That was incoherence. The path to manifestation is not about adding more effort. It is about reducing contradiction. It is about noticing the subtle places where your mind says yes but your body whispers no, or where your heart longs, but your thoughts sabotage. Those fragments dilute your signal. Coherence gathers them back into one. And here is where coherence becomes more than just science. When you experience it, you don't just feel efficient. You feel whole. You feel as though something ancient has clicked back into place, as though you are no longer divided against yourself. That feeling is sacred. It is the same recognition mystics describe when they speak of union, presence, or alignment with God. It is the same moment quantum physicists describe when particles fall into phase and the universe behaves with symmetry. To live in coherence is to remember that you are not separate from the field. You are the field. You are not trying to command reality from the outside. You are aligning the inside so reality has no choice but to reflect. This is why the ancients spoke of surrender, stillness, silence. They were not glorifying passivity. They were pointing to coherence. So the next time you declare, "I am abundant," let it be more than words. Let your chest soften, your breath deepen, your posture rise. Let your body carry the declaration. Let your emotions color it with joy. And then, without forcing, walk as though it is already true. That is coherence. That is the bridge where science and spirit shake hands and agree on one truth. The clearer your signal, the faster your reality bends. In the next part, we will dive into the 3 core shifts that make coherence sustainable. Clarity over control, dropping the timeline, and trusting your first alignment. These are not just practices. They are ways of being that collapse years of struggle into moments of transformation. If coherence is the bridge, then there are 3 shifts that make coherence possible in daily life. These shifts may appear simple on the surface, but they unravel some of the deepest illusions the mind clings to. And when you embody them, they collapse years of waiting into moments of transformation. The first shift is clarity over control. Most suffering and manifestation comes from obsession with control, asking endlessly how it will happen, when it will happen, who will bring it, through which exact door it must arrive. These questions masquerade as practicality, but beneath them lies doubt. They signal that you do not trust the field. Physics itself shows us why control destabilizes outcomes. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle reveals that the more you try to pin down a particle's path, the more you disturb its natural state. The same is true with your desires. The more you micromanage, the more you distort the very coherence that would deliver it to you. Clarity, on the other hand, means holding the vision of what you want as though it already exists, and then letting the field take care of the pathways. It means knowing what station you want to hear without demanding which tower, which cable, which frequency chain must deliver the sound. You decide the destination, not the logistics. Think of someone standing at a train station. Control is like trying to build the tracks yourself before the train arrives. Clarity is standing on the platform with your ticket in hand, ready to step in when the train pulls up. The tracks are already laid. The system is already running. Your only job is to be ready. The second shift is dropping the timeline. This one unsettles the mind the most, because society conditions you to measure worth and progress by time. Promotions by a certain age, marriage by a certain milestone, success before the next birthday. The calendar becomes a cage. But the quantum field does not run on deadlines. It runs on readiness. In physics, superposition means all possibilities exist simultaneously until collapsed by observation. That means your desired reality already exists. It is not waiting to be built in the future. It is waiting to be selected now. Neville Goddard understood this when he spoke of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. He never added, by Friday. The field does not respond to dates. It responds to alignment. And the moment your inner state matches the reality you desire, the wave collapses instantly, regardless of what the clock says. Dropping the timeline frees you. It pulls you out of resistance and into presence. Because every time you demand, "It must come by next week," you are declaring that it is not here yet. Every time you insist, "If it doesn't happen by then, it's not working," you are broadcasting lack. But when you release the deadline, you step into timelessness. And timelessness is the natural language of the field. The third shift is trusting your first alignment. This one may surprise you, because most teachings insist on repetition. Affirm again, visualize again, script again. While repetition can help reprogram the subconscious, in quantum terms, it often signals doubt. It says, maybe the field didn't hear me. Maybe I didn't do it right. Maybe I need to push harder. But the truth is, the field always hears your first alignment. The first time you felt the spark of desire, when thought and emotion ignited together, a complete command was sent into the field. That moment was enough. Your real challenge is not to keep asking, but to stay in resonance with what you have already asked. Think of tuning into a radio station. You don't keep shouting at the radio to play your song. You turn the dial once, and then you keep listening. If you keep spinning the dial every few seconds, you lose the signal. Manifestation is no different. The field doesn't need reminders. It needs consistency of vibration. Let's make this practical. Close your eyes and recall a desire that felt alive the very first moment you thought of it. Remember how your body lit up with excitement, how your chest opened, how your mind raced with possibility. That was the moment of alignment. Now, instead of asking for it again, revisit that state. Re-enter it, not by demanding, but by remembering. This is how you keep the signal alive without scrambling it. These three shifts together change everything. Clarity over control means you no longer sabotage coherence by micromanaging outcomes. Dropping the timeline means you stop collapsing into lack by tying infinity to a clock. Trusting the first alignment means you stop doubting whether the field heard you and instead learn to hold the vibration steady. And here's what makes them so powerful. They align perfectly with the scientific principle of resonance. In physics, when two systems vibrate at the same frequency, they exchange energy effortlessly. No force is required. This is why a singer can shatter glass with a single note. Her voice enters coherence with the glass's natural frequency, and the amplification builds until the structure cannot hold. Your life works the same way. When you stop forcing and start resonating, your reality collapses into alignment just as powerfully. The universe is not ignoring you. It is listening, always listening. But it only hears the clearest signal. And clarity, timelessness, and trust create the purest signal you can send. So if you remember nothing else from this section, remember this. You don't need to control the how, you don't need to demand the when, and you don't need to repeat the ask 1,000 times. You only need to align once and stay tuned long enough for the song to play. In the next part, we'll explore what it means to remember rather than create, how your desired timeline already exists in the field, and how coherence allows you to collapse into it with the elegance of inevitability. Here is a truth that can change the way you see your entire life. You are not creating something that does not exist. You are remembering something that has always existed. The timeline you desire is not waiting to be built brick by brick through struggle. It is already alive in the quantum field, vibrating right now, waiting for you to tune in long enough to collapse it into form. Quantum mechanics has whispered this for decades. In the principle of superposition, particles exist in multiple states at once, heads and tails, wave and particle, here and there simultaneously. They do not choose until observed. The act of observation collapses the field of probabilities into one specific outcome. That means, right now, infinite versions of your future exist. Some filled with abundance, others with scarcity, some radiant with love, others weighed by loneliness. All of them are alive. All of them are broadcasting. Which one becomes your lived reality depends on the signal you embody. This is where Hugh Everett's many worlds interpretation enters. He proposed that every choice collapses into a branching universe, countless streams of reality unfolding in parallel. From the perspective of physics, every potential path you could take is already walking itself out in some dimension. From the perspective of spirituality, those worlds are not distant. They are alive within the field of your own consciousness. You are not chasing a future. You are tuning to a branch of reality already unfolding. David Bohm, the physicist who spoke of the implicate order, described reality as a vast ocean of potential, already unfolded, waiting to be unfolded when consciousness interacts. In spiritual language, this is the eternal now, the hidden fullness of creation. Your task is not to command the ocean to exist, but to recognize which wave you are riding, and to choose deliberately the frequency that calls the wave you long to surf. This is exactly what Neville Goddard meant when he urged people to live in the end. He wasn't asking you to daydream. He was pointing to the quantum fact that the end already exists. Your job is to inhabit it with feeling, to saturate yourself in it until the field has no choice but to mirror that coherence. But here's the paradox. Most people do not fail because their dream is absent. They fail because they cannot hold the signal. They touch it for a moment, in meditation, in prayer, in a flash of clarity, and then the rational mind interrupts. This is too simple. It can't be real. It must take more work. And in that very moment, the vibration drops. The fork stops resonating. The field mirrors absence once again. Think of yourself as a tuning fork in a vast room of infinite tuning forks. Each desire you have ever held is another fork vibrating somewhere in the field. The moment you align with one of them, resonance begins. The vibrations grow stronger, echoing back and forth until the entire room hums in harmony. But if you stop striking the fork, if you abandon the feeling too quickly, the resonance fades. It was never the universe that rejected you. It was you who stopped remembering. This remembering is not passive. It is active resonance. To remember means to embody, to breathe it in as if it were already yours, to walk through your day as if you had never forgotten who you really are. When you do this, your frequency stabilizes. And when your frequency stabilizes, the field collapses immediately into your chosen reality. Here's a simple example. Think about falling asleep. The harder you try to make sleep happen, the more elusive it becomes. The act of straining proves that you are awake. But the moment you let go, when your body relaxes, when you allow yourself to surrender, sleep arrives on its own. Manifestation works the same way. Effort born of lack reinforces the absence. Surrender born of coherence locks in the presence. The mystics called this detachment. Not detachment from desire itself, but detachment from control, from timelines, from proof. They understood that the seed already holds the harvest, and that trying to dig it up each day destroys what nature is already growing in silence. You are not meant to force the fruit from the tree. You are meant to trust the intelligence within the fruit, to ripen at the appointed time. And here's the beauty. The more you accept that the timeline already exists, the more peace enters your body. You stop asking, "When will it happen?" and instead breathe into, "It is happening." You stop strategizing every possible path and instead embody the energy of being there. This is not fantasy. It is physics. The wave collapses where coherence is strongest. So let me ask you, what would shift in your life if you stopped trying to create and instead began to remember? What would it feel like to walk today not as someone hoping for a future, but as someone remembering a reality already chosen? That shift alone moves you out of striving and into embodiment. Every doubt you hold is a delay. Every surrender you choose is an acceleration. Every time you remember, the fork hums louder. Every time you forget, the vibration softens. The field is never judging. It is simply mirroring. And the clearer your resonance, the faster the mirror responds. In the next part, we will bring this down to the level of identity. Because at the heart of every quantum shift is not just what you remember, but who you remember yourself to be. The move from seeker to receiver, from longing to embodiment, is the most profound shift of all. And when you learn to live as the one who already has, reality has no choice but to comply. At some point, every practice, every affirmation, every visualization points to a single threshold. You must shift your identity. Most people never cross it. They stay locked in the identity of the seeker, the one who is trying to manifest, the one who is always almost there but not quite. They repeat words, light candles, join workshops, but underneath it all, their frequency is the same. I don't yet have what I desire. And that identity broadcasts louder than anything they say on the surface. The invitation now is different. You are not being asked to try harder. You are being asked to become. To stop identifying as the seeker and step into the identity of the receiver. This is not arrogance. It is not pretending. It is coherence. Bringing your mind, your emotions, and your body into the vibration of having. Think for a moment about someone you've met who carried quiet confidence. They didn't announce themselves. They didn't demand recognition. Their presence alone shifted the room. Why? Because they weren't broadcasting need. They were broadcasting wholeness. And wholeness doesn't need to chase. It magnetizes. That is the same posture you are being invited into now. The seeker says, "I am on my way." The receiver says, "I already am." The seeker waits for signs. The receiver lives as the sign. The seeker pushes for evidence. The receiver breathes as evidence, and the universe, neutral and precise, mirrors both without bias. This is where embodiment becomes everything. You cannot just think abundance while living like someone still trapped in scarcity. You cannot just affirm love while walking with a posture of distrust. Identity shows itself in the micro movements of your day, the way you breathe, the way you speak to yourself in silence, the way you walk across the room. These are all broadcasts. They either reinforce the seeker or anchor the receiver. So let's bring this into practice. Imagine your day as though you were already living in your chosen timeline. When you wake in the morning, how would you breathe if you already had the love you've been asking for? How would you open your eyes if the career you've been visualizing was already yours? How would you rise from bed if abundance were your natural state? Don't think about it. Feel into it. Move into it. As you walk through the house, ask yourself, how would I carry myself if it were already done? Would my shoulders still slump? Would my voice still tremble? Or would there be a subtle lightness, a quiet certainty, a gentler pace to everything I do? This is not performance. It is alignment. The more you live this way, the more your nervous system begins to accept it as normal. And when your body believes, the field responds instantly. Here's the truth many overlook. The subconscious does not respond to words alone. It responds to embodiment. Every time you walk, sit, or breathe as though you already are, you are voting for the new identity. Each vote rewires your biology. Neurons fire and wire together until the old self begins to dissolve and the new self stabilizes. This is neuroplasticity, the science behind what mystics have always known. That identity is not fixed. It is a lens, and every lens can be exchanged. Neville Goddard called this wearing the state. He taught that you must clothe yourself in the feeling of the end, wearing it like a garment until it becomes second nature. Joe Dispenza describes it as signaling the body emotionally before the event arrives, convincing your biology it has already happened. Different language, same truth. When you embody the new identity, the field has no choice but to reflect it. Let's go even deeper. Think about the way you introduce yourself. Not just your name, but the energy behind it. Do you say, I am trying? Or do you declare, I am becoming? Do you speak from the wounds of the past, or from the reality you are aligning with? Every introduction is a declaration. Every self-description is a tuning fork. Most people unknowingly introduce themselves as their old identity, and then wonder why the field keeps echoing the same story. So here is a simple practice you can weave into your day. As you sit quietly, whisper to yourself, I am already the one I once longed to be. Don't just say it. Let your body relax into it. Let your breath slow as though relief has already arrived. Let your chest expand as though gratitude has already filled it. Then carry that posture into your next action, however small, making coffee, answering a message, stepping outside. The field doesn't care how grand the action is. It cares how coherent the frequency behind it is. This is how the shift happens. Not in one dramatic leap, but in the micro movements of every day. You wake as the receiver. You walk as the receiver. You breathe as the receiver. And slowly, then suddenly, life begins to mirror you with uncanny precision. The seeker asks, when will it happen? The receiver affirms, it is happening. The seeker prays for a sign. The receiver embodies the sign. And in that subtle but profound shift, timelines collapse, and the future you thought you were chasing arrives at your feet. In the next part, we will look at the objections and pitfalls, the ways the conditioned mind resists this identity shift, insisting that struggle equals value, that suffering equals worth. And we will see how to dissolve those illusions gently, so that nothing pulls you back into the old self once you've begun living as the new. The moment you begin to live as the receiver, the mind almost always fights back. It whispers doubts, raises objections, and pulls you toward the safety of old beliefs. This resistance is not proof that you are failing. It is proof that you are changing. The old self does not surrender quietly. It clings to the familiar, even when the familiar is painful. One of the first objections that surfaces is the belief that worth must be earned through struggle. Society has conditioned you to equate value with sweat, to believe that the harder you work, the more you deserve. So when manifestation begins to feel lighter, when your body relaxes, when opportunities start arriving without the old grind, the mind panics. This can't be right, it says. I haven't suffered enough for this. But the quantum field does not measure suffering. It mirrors coherence. It does not care how many hours you've sweated, how many nights you've stayed awake worrying, or how many sacrifices you've made. It only reflects the signal you hold. Struggle may win you sympathy in the human world, but it does not amplify your broadcast in the quantum. Another pitfall is confusing simplicity with passivity. People hear the word alignment and imagine sitting on a couch waiting for the universe to deliver. But alignment does not mean inaction. It means aligned action. It means planting the seed and trusting the intelligence of life to grow it, rather than digging it up every day in panic. Laziness refuses to plant at all. Alignment plants once and waters gently with presence. Let me paint a picture. Imagine two friends starting a garden. The first digs furiously, waters obsessively, checks the soil every morning, and worries aloud whether the sun is strong enough. The second plants with care, waters when needed, and then rests in the certainty that nature knows what to do. Which one sees their garden flourish faster? The first person's effort disrupts the process. The second person's trust aligns with it. This is not about doing nothing. It is about doing only what resonates. A third common trap is the fear of being unrealistic. The rational mind argues, if I stop worrying, won't I become careless? If I stop controlling, won't I lose everything? But ask yourself honestly, has worry ever created better outcomes? Has micromanagement ever produced the peace you long for? Most of the time, worry does not prevent loss. It only multiplies suffering. Control does not guarantee success. It only guarantees exhaustion. When these objections arise, the solution is not to fight them, but to see through them. Meet them with gentle awareness. Instead of scolding yourself for doubting, notice the doubt as a reflex of conditioning. Smile at it. Say, I see you. I know where you came from, but I don't need you anymore. This soft recognition dissolves resistance faster than force. Remember, coherence is not just a state of mind. It is a way of being. It shows up in the way you breathe, the way you move, the way you hold yourself even when no one is watching. That is why the field listens to it. Words alone can be surface noise, but embodied coherence cannot be faked. It radiates outward in every direction. So do not panic when objections come. Expect them. They are the echoes of an old identity dissolving. Each time you choose clarity over control, timelessness over deadlines, trust over repetition, you weaken the old broadcast and strengthen the new. Over time, the objections grow quieter until they are no more than background whispers against the steady hum of your coherence. In the next part, we will bring everything together into a declaration. Because embodiment is not complete until it is spoken, claimed, and lived. Words born from coherence are not empty affirmations. They are commands to the field. And when you declare from that place, reality has no choice but to obey. We have walked a long path together, from struggle into simplicity, from noise into coherence, from seeking into receiving. You've seen that manifestation is not about building something from nothing, but about remembering what has always been waiting for you. You've seen that the field does not reward effort for its own sake, but responds to clarity, alignment, and coherence. You've seen that every doubt delays and every surrender accelerates. And now we stand at the threshold of declaration. Because awakening is not complete until it is lived. You can understand the principles, you can feel the resonance, but until you declare it, until you speak it into form, the frequency is not fully locked in. Words born from coherence are not just sounds. They are signals. They are quantum commands. So take a breath with me right now. Inhale slowly, feel your chest rise. Let the breath fill your body as though you are filling with certainty itself. And as you exhale, whisper to yourself, not as a wish, but as truth. It is already done. That simple sentence, spoken with conviction, collapses more timelines than years of striving. It is not performance, it is recognition. This is the great paradox. Manifestation feels mysterious only when you complicate what was meant to be effortless. The quantum doesn't need your strain, it needs your coherence. The moment you stop scattering your energy and finally embody one truth, I already am, reality bends instantly. Think of the small declarations you've made in the past that changed everything. The day you said, "I'm ready," and left the job that drained you. The day you said, "I deserve better," and walked away from what no longer honored you. The day you said, "I will not go back," and never did. Those weren't just decisions, they were declarations, and the universe responded. So let this be your declaration now. I allow it to be easy. I allow coherence to guide me. I allow myself to live as the receiver. These words, spoken with your whole being, are not just affirmations. They are resonance. They are the tuning fork that sets the field humming in your favor. Remember, the field is not testing you. It is not holding back. It is mirroring you in every moment. Less effort, more resonance. Less asking, more being. And when you live this way, life itself becomes a continuous quantum jump, moment by moment, reality by reality, until you realize you were never separate from what you desired. You were only asleep to it, and now you are awake. So keep this frequency alive. Revisit it daily. Speak it into existence with the quiet confidence of someone who already knows. Walk through your world not as the seeker, but as the one who has remembered, and let the universe do the rest. If this message has stirred something inside you, if it has awakened a memory of who you truly are, then I invite you to support this journey. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay connected. Your presence here keeps this field alive, not just for you, but for all of us. And in the next video, we'll go even deeper into how to stabilize this coherence so it becomes your natural state of being. Until then, stay aligned, stay light, and never forget. You are not waiting for your reality. Your reality is waiting for you.